Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to show you how to remove this little piece that's located on your positive and your negative cables. Now this is a DIY, do-it-yourself kind of thing, so there's no manuals for this, there's no step-by-step how-to or special tool to remove these. It's more of do it at your own risk kind of thing. So I'm going to do this in a way so that it can minimize the risk of damaging the cable completely, because we want it with as less parts as we have for our cars. We want to salvage as much as we can. So we're going to do this in a way so that it's safe to the cable, at least partially, and I'm going to do it step by step for y'all. So without further ado, let's get to it. Alright, so here we have the end of the cable. And the pieces that we're going to remove today is going to be this nut and this other piece here. So pretty much the only parts on this cable that are rusted. Now to remove this piece, it's pretty simple. First and foremost, we're going to remove this nut here. This nut does take a 10mm socket, and when you order a new kit of these, it does come with a new nut. Now, if the nut's not stripped or overly rusted and can be cleaned with a tumbler, you can definitely do that and keep it to the side, which is exactly what I'm going to do. So I won't have to order another one later on. Though these are cheap enough, you could easily buy a new one. Now when it comes to removing this piece here, as you can see, after we remove the nut, it's got a little bit of wiggle to it. Now to remove these, as you can see, it's got a little slit running through the metal piece, and the back of the cable, it runs through the slit and it clamps down onto this piece here. To remove this piece, you got a couple options. One, bending this piece up. Two, you can grab this little deal here with some pliers, and what you can do is take it like this and bend it up. And what this does is this will take the little piece here and it will force it up, and then you can try bending it down to force its way down through the slit. Now you don't want to bend this too many times, because as you know, the more you bend a piece of metal, the more brittle it becomes, the more stretched it becomes, and the more likely it is to fail and not be as strong. So you do not want to bend it too much, just enough to where you can bend this piece out and to get the new piece in. So we're going to go ahead and do that here. Alright, so once your little clip has gotten to this point, you can now take your pliers and you can provide a little extra force to help you get some leverage going. So grab your pliers here, and what you're going to do is you're going to try to force this little deal so that it's straight up and perpendicular with the screw, so that you can just lift it right out. When doing this, it's going to want to ride up, so just be careful about that until you can wiggle it free. But it is going to take some force. Alright, so here as we can see, I pretty much got the tab bent up most of the way. Now pretty much all we got to do here is once it's bent up, you want to make sure that it's kind of perpendicular with the screw, so that you can just kind of pry it right out. I'm going to take my pliers here and see if I can't just either wiggle it out or try to pry it out. And it may take a few tries, because these are pretty stout when it comes to this stuff. Okay, and just like that, we got our little piece out here. Alright, so as you can see here, we have the old one, and now we have our new one. And this is what we're going to be replacing it with here. And as you can see, this one's taken a lot of rust, and it has been kind of damaged to the point to where it will no longer function as it needs to. And here, as you can also see, we have the different screws. As you can see, this one's definitely been stripped after being used so much over time. And here we have our new one. And so now we can get to installing the new piece. Alright, so when it comes to installing this, of course we have the hole for the screw, and then we have the hole for the slit. The most important piece is going to be getting it routed through that slit. So as you can see, it's kind of bent there, and this little flat back piece right here, we want to make sure that this is past that, and we want to make sure that it's flush, okay? And depending on how you do this, you may need the pliers to fully seat this and force it through, because this little piece here that's bent, this needs to go over and grab onto it. So I actually have mine pretty flush here, so I'm going to start the process of trying to get this little piece right here bent back over it, which it may take a few tries. Alright, so I was able to bend over that piece a little bit. So the way I did it is I put my pliers a little bit towards the back here, and I just, from the back, I pushed forward, not holding the piece here, but from the back, and I pushed forward until it slowly rotated forward, as you can see, just like that. So now that that's rotated a little bit, and I was able to get this piece flush once more, we can now take our pliers and kind of force it down so that it's set in stone a little bit, so to speak. So just like that. So now, of course, I do want to remind y'all here that this is not an official fix presented by GM, though they may do the exact same thing. If anything, if something's wrong here, GM may just replace the whole connector here, which you could easily do that yourself as well. But this is kind of a cheaper route, more of a DIY, do it yourself at home. So when doing this, as you can see, the metal is going to be scarred, the metal is going to be bent, which will reduce the strength of the steel here. So, but just for a short term, get it yourself done kind of deal, it works out very well. And in the end, you may need to replace the whole assembly here, which once again is not very hard. It's just kind of like a terminal where the wire is just strapped with a metal piece. So that's on there good. So next we can get our nut, put that on there, and as you can see, it's not really wiggly or anything like that. The holes are still lined up. So I would say that this is a pretty good job well done. Now, of course, whenever you go to install this, you can clean the surfaces, make sure that everything's nice and neat, which I didn't do here because this is just going back into storage. But other than that, that's how you're going to install this piece. And make sure whenever you do install your negative cables, to prevent further rust, you will want to apply dielectric grease, as that provides a barrier between the air and your metal surface, and it'll help these last longer so that you won't have to do this as often. Alright, hey, thanks for stopping by, checking out the video. I hope it helped y'all out today. I want to remind y'all, in my Google Drive, I got a plethora of info regarding the Kappas, so be sure to check that out. It'll help you in the long run take care of your car. Alright, so I will see y'all next time, and until then, y'all take care.